These days, it's rare that we are without an upcoming Magic the Gathering release in the near future. Wizards of the Coast have ramped up production and are almost always pushing us on to the next big thing. And with this in mind, you would think that WotC would be extra careful to care for all of the product lines because, God forbid, we lose a product line and have to slow down the rapid release cycle. And I know, they'd probably fill it with something else, but it just begs the question, with how many products they're trying to push to us consistently, why would they decimate the unset product line so disastrously? And I want to talk today about the fact that we may have seen the very last unset ever. This is going to be a fun speculation video, so hold on to your hats and let's dive in. Satisfying fans of Magic the Gathering like myself is actually not that tough. Print a couple good products, give us some really cool and unique cards, and maybe hike up the power level every once in a while, because yeah, as much as we fight against the power creep in our game, it does sell sets, and I think it's safe to say fans like us like the product. But every now and again, we have always ventured into the realm of pure fun, entertainment, and even a bit of silliness. And since Magic's inception way back in the way back machine, we have always found new and exciting ways to make Magic the Gathering a bit silly, and Wizards of the Coast themselves, or Magic the Gathering really, leaned into this with the unsets, cards that, well, until recently, weren't actually legal in, what people would consider to be regular Magic the Gathering formats, and were made with puns, just a lot of fun, silliness, and Magic the Gathering callbacks through the entire design of all of these sets. But recently, with the latest unset, we saw them break that barrier, crush through the fourth wall, if you will, and make some of these cards legal. And subsequently, in a recent announcement, we saw a ton of those cards that were legal see bans across various formats for play reasons. The idea that you have to bring all these different decks and tools. You can't just bring your Magic the Gathering deck to an event anymore. And it overcomplicated things. It was extremely convoluted, and frankly, I think the bans were actually a really good thing. But after you break the fourth wall and you have taken this massive step, and you kind of roll that back a little bit, it got me thinking. Have we seen the very last unset we will ever see? And I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to speculate that yes, we have. There will be no more unsets. I'm going to show you evidence as to why Wizards of the Coast is no longer incentivized to print these unsets. And then I'm going to tell you, if they do another unset, if I end up being wrong, what I think they're actually gonna do with that product. So there's a lot of evidence, in my opinion. We're gonna put our tinfoil hats on. If you like speculation videos like this and just like raw Magic the Gathering conversation, make sure you subscribe. It's racing to 9K subs. Thanks for everyone who clicked that button below. But these unsets really used to fill a couple needs for us as Magic fans that I don't think we need anymore. And we talked a lot about the rapid release cycle early in this video, and I think with this cycle of constant Magic the Gathering products, something for everybody, between Commander releases, straight to modern releases, tentpole Universes Beyond releases, standard releases, which yet seem all the way back, with the exception of Karlov Manor. The last couple standard sets have been absolute bangers. It doesn't seem that Wizards of the Coast need to fill the void anymore with something like these unsets. And remember, back when we were enjoying a couple Magic the Gathering releases every single year, unsets kind of filled that void of we're always super serious. We have all these standard releases. Maybe we have a Horizons release or a straight to Commander release here and there, but these unsets were a place to detach a little bit from our Magic the Gathering fandom, which was so siloed in one direction or another. You engaged with Magic in one way. It gave us an opportunity to detach and have a little bit of silliness, have a little bit of fun. But with Wizards of the Coast pumping product cycles to us every single month, and all of the multitude of ways we're getting product delivered and being told, hey, play Magic this way this time, play Magic this way, whether it's a standard release, Commander release, modern release, revised release, or what is it? remastered release. Thank you. I had to look at the box behind me to actually remember. There's so many products out there. I think it's safe to say that we don't need the break from our way of playing Magic the Gathering anymore, because Wizards of the Coast is offering us just a plethora of options. And I actually don't like this that much, to be honest with you. I liked the chance to break away from Magic the Gathering and have some silliness and have some, just albeit off the wall and a little bit outside of Magic craziness for fun, but some fun in that way, and I am going to miss that. And actually, it was the MTG Goldfish podcast that turned me onto this, which is another reason why I think Wizards of the Coast is not as incentivized to reprint or do any more unsets in the future, is because we kind of have a lot of that silliness, the callbacks, the funny named characters, and with Universes Beyond, the idea that we can reach outside and break the fourth wall of Magic the Gathering and poke fun at some other things already baked into the existing game. Nowadays, our standard releases have a lot of just punny names in them. They have callbacks to other Magic the Gathering cards. Heck, we get a new callback to a Lotus of some kind almost every year at this point, and not including the Magic 30th anniversary, where they just reprinted a fake Lotus and charged us $1,000 for it for 4 packs, but like actual callbacks to these iconic moments in Magic the Gathering. We'll also get this in funny ways. Some of the recent Magic the Gathering cards are named in silly ways, and they kind of give that levity to every single set, where we don't need to break from the seriousness of the IP of Magic the Gathering, which what is that anymore, to kind of break away from that into an unset and fun at any point, because we're doing that far more frequently. And I actually think that this is a good thing. I like the fact that Magic doesn't always take itself seriously. Heck, Phyrexia All Will Be One. A set should be taken extremely seriously, has some dark tones and some themes. I love that. But Outlaws of Thunder Junction, where there's some merriment, some cowboy hats, and yes, probably even into something like Bloomborough, we're going to see a bit of silliness. And in those arenas, I think that's fair and fine, and I'm actually a big fan. I think that's an area where we don't need unsets anymore to satisfy that itch to get a little bit of outside of the world fun for our game. And as we lean more and more into Universes Beyond, and we break that fourth wall and kind of tell some of those other IP jokes and funniness and silliness, I think we're going to, have this satisfied more and more, where we don't necessarily have the need for an unset. In fact, the opposite might be true. We might need more, I don't know what else to call them, but maybe serious Magic the Gathering products more often, because we have broken away into this silly arena so much. But aside from the nostalgic view and like the fun and the consumer and community involvement, engagement, and their nostalgia and love for a product, which we talk about a bunch on this channel, we do focus a lot on the sale of products, why people buy, why we spend our hard-earned money. And unsets were kind of always cool for, and I have them right here, things like the lands, the original lands from unsets, and all of the subsequent unsets that delivered us really cool alternate art lands that were hard to get. They weren't super popular products, so they weren't opened that much, and this always gave us a reason to be like, yeah, I'll crack an unpack here and there. And there were fun cards in those iconic callbacks that we already touched on earlier, so kind of consider those in the card in the box discussion that we're about to have now. But the lands really drove a lot of why we still visited cards from these previous unsets, and I really think that we have lost that thread completely. Wizards of the Coast is printing fancy special lands every 2 seconds. There's always a new fancy special land with every single set. We've got full art land treatments, we've got foil land treatment, we've got raised foil, etched foil, secret lair land treatments, and because of this, there's really a ton less incentive to ever go and buy an unset or buy these unlands or crack a box to fill out your draft set of lands or your pre-con set of lands or whatever it might be. For this reason, we've lost a major pillar of what drives the sale of this product. And in my opinion, that's something that's hard to get back. Even if Wizards of the Coast spent the next couple years not making tons of lands in every release and special versions of lands, we've got stuff to chew on for years now that we could be switching lands out and fancy lands out of our decks for years to come without ever getting a new one. And for this reason, I struggle to believe that we're ever going to get that nostalgia, that drive for these fancy lands and new releases back, and because of that, it really loses the reason to print and unset. Things that you could reprint in that land slot, looking at, Galaxy Foil Shocks in Infinity, a product that's really cheap on the secondary market, $88 for a draft, and I think $167 for a collector booster, if I remember correctly. Let me know in the comment section if I got that wrong. But even these are seeing reprints over and over and over again, so I struggle to see a way that we could be incentivized through the value of the cards in the box to revisit this product. For all of these reasons, I think Wizards of the Coast is not going to spend the time and day on an unset. I think it's a losing proposition for a company that is all about making money. It doesn't seem like they're going to go out of their way to give some fan service that we don't inherently want or need anymore based on our fulfillment from other products. So I really think we could have seen the last of the unsets. I want to know if you think we've seen the last of the unsets or if I'm way off base. Let me know in the comment section below. But I do want to point out there is a chance that they do an unset again. And I want to touch on this before we go because I think this is the only way that it ever happens again. If Wizards of the Coast is ever going to make an unset again, I can almost guarantee, that's right, come back to this timestamp, ladies and gentlemen, I can almost guarantee it won't be legal in, well, pretty much anything. I think we're going to go back to old school silver bordered. If we ever see an unset again, we're going back to true, just full on in Magic IP, silly, goofy callbacks. We are going all silver bordered. It's only legal in itself, and the only thing you'll be playing in your regular decks out of that set is the lands. They would have to go so extreme. We're going to have to see callbacks to the entire Power 9, the dual land cycle. We're going to have to see something so extreme to get us invested and interested in something like this that I think it would have to be so over the top that maybe you could tell me a story where that's the last hurrah of the unset. We give it a good go, a college try, and try to say, hey, can we buy this without a meaningful land cycle in the thing? But those are my thoughts on unsets. With the recent bannings, we have seen the product, take a hit, the interest in the product taking a hit. And if you're not fishing out Galaxy Foil Shocks, the question is, what are you looking for? What are you doing with the product? If you're doing something interesting, if I'm missing something, I'm totally open to know in the comment section below. If you want to share this video about unsets on a social media platform, I would definitely celebrate. I would really appreciate it because it helps the channel grow, helps me reach the 9,000 subscriber goal, and it makes me smile when I scroll through a media feed and I see my little thumbnail and my goofy face out there. So thank you so much for hanging out. Until next time, you guys know me. My name is Josh, and we will see you around. Okay, goodbye.